Good evening, sports zonians. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aguiloro. I am your host for this is Sports Zone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network and courtesy of Blackjack TV on Zingo TV for our replays. And we got a good show for you tonight. We should hopefully be joined by both Dave Hastings after a 1 week absence and Eric Tressler tonight. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. So if you listened to the show last week, me and Eric got into a bit of a debate as to whether or not the Mets had a realistic shot of making the playoffs. And I said, obviously, when we talked last week, the Mets were still 5 or 6 games under 500. They had just acquired Marcus Stroman from the Toronto Blue Jays. We were waiting for the trade deadline, which was the day after we went on the air last week. And it was a bit of a lackluster trading deadline if you are a fan of both New York teams. Obviously, the Mets had traded for Marcus Stroman and had traded away Jason Vargas the day before we went to air. So that was done. And that was really all that happened for the trading deadline for both New York teams. The Yankees did not make any trades on the deadlines. According to Brian Cashman, the price was simply higher than he really wanted to go for any of the pitchers that were available. Madison Bumgarner is still a member of the San Francisco Giants. Trevor Bauer went to the Cincinnati Reds in a 3-team deal that saw some high-profile names go to the Cleveland Indians. Top prospect Taylor Trammell went from the Cincinnati Reds to the San Diego Padres in that deal. And we saw a number of relief pitchers move to some of the contenders in the National League. Both the Washington Nationals and the Atlanta Braves picked up multiple relievers. And then you had the Houston Astros acquire Aaron Sanchez from the Toronto Blue Jays. And probably the biggest move of the trade deadline last week, it was buzzer beater to get in before the deadline. Zach Greinke goes from the Arizona Diamondbacks to the Houston Astros for 4 prospects, none of which were their top 2 prospects in Kyle Tucker or Forrest Whitley. But that was really all the moves. And getting back to the Mets here, my belief was because they have this weaker schedule than most, they had the opportunity to get back to 500, and they have a serious chance to do some damage and get in the playoff mix within the last 2 months of the season. And lo and behold, we sit here. Since the time we went to air, the Mets swept the Chicago White Sox. This came on the heels of the sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates, which saw them win 7 straight games. I believe they won their last game of the series against the Padres before that. And then over the weekend, they took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates again. Marcus Stroman's first start was not great. I believe he pitched on Saturday after Mats lost the game on Friday. But that was also the first time he had pitched in 10 days. He is going to be pitching this week, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head if he's pitching tomorrow, but I know he will be pitching again this week in Citi Field, his first start in New York, so it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. And yesterday, the Mets swept both ends of a doubleheader against the Marlins. They are currently beating the Marlins right now by a score of 5-0. And if they win tonight, they're 2 games over 500. First time they've been over 500 since May. And not only are they above 500, but they began action today a mere 2 half games out of the wild cards, out of one of the wild card spots, I should say. So, the Mets season is not over, folks. And a month ago, I know I said that the Mets season was dead in the water. This team has some life. Now, the biggest problem with this team is still the bullpen. And it really would have been nice to have seen them add to that bullpen at the trade deadline. I mean, it was very disappointing for me to see both the Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals add some bullpen help. The Washington Nationals got Hunter Strickland. To name one of the guys they had gotten, Hunter Strickland, former closer with the San Francisco Giants a couple years ago. And just to look at some of the other guys they got, I believe his name was Ronald Elias from the Seattle Mariners. He just went on the disabled list. They got Daniel Hudson from the Toronto Blue Jays. They have brought in Fernando Rondi. So these are not big names, but you still see them making moves to try to improve their bullpen. And obviously the Nationals bullpen is a bit of a mess as well. I don't know if you could call them as bad as the Mets bullpen, but they had to do something to address their bullpen. At the very least, they put the effort in. And then if you look at what the Atlanta Braves did, added a couple people to that bullpen. So we begin play tonight with the Mets down 2.5 games. As I said, they are winning against the Marlins right now. They have the games tomorrow night, and then they take on the Nationals this weekend and the Braves next week, in which should be the first big test in about a month. So that'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. But with that, we welcome Dave Hastings back after a 1-week absence. Dave, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay, Mike. How about yourself?
About the same. About the same. How was your vacation last week?
Oh man, it was a lot of fun. I definitely had a good time. Got a little bit of a tan on, so that's always nice. Nice.
So I want to inform you as to what you missed last week, because if Eric is here tonight, you may see a bit of a round two. We had a rather spirited debate about the Mets' playoff chances last week. I had to listen to him call the Mets dumpster fire. He invoked the dumpster fire on the New York Mets. And while that may have been true a month ago, and for all we know it is still true, the Mets have been on this miraculous run over the last 2 weeks, beating up the lesser teams that have been on their schedule. And as we sit here tonight, the Mets are currently up 5-0 against the Miami Marlins, with the opportunity to be 2 games over 500 for the first time since May. And they are, as we speak, 2.5 games out of one of the wild card spots. So, do you have any thoughts about this? Are you looking forward to what could be a rather spirited debate later tonight?
Well, considering you only got me for about 20 minutes, I hope I'm here in time for it. But I'm actually currently driving all the way back to my office at work because I left my computer there when I need it.
That's yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, don't hit anybody.
Not what I wanted to remember at 9 o'clock at night. But
yep.
Anyway.
Yep. Well, I tell you what. Then let's make it worth your while at least. So the last time you were here, we were talking about a possible holdout for Ezekiel Elliott. And I got to be honest, I didn't really think the holdout was going to go anywhere. I thought he was going to come back to the team. I know Eric mentioned last week that he felt that Zeke should kind of wait in line because the extensions for Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper might be slightly more pressing for the Cowboys than Zeke. And then today, The headline on ESPN reads, Zeke won't play for Dallas without deal this season. So what are your thoughts on this one here?
I mean, my number one thought was I really don't want to have a Le'Veon Bell type of situation personally.
Yep.
But I do also think that when it comes down to these NFL players, they got to do what they got to do. And with the amount of touches Zeke has, he's got 4 years worth of touches in 3 years. So, he knows that the way Dallas uses him, it's going to put wear and tear on his body. And there's really, I personally think that it should have waited. And it should have been something that, was held off until next season, because if he holds out all of this year, then he technically can't hold out next year, or he gets no money, and then Dallas still owns him for, 2 more years with the franchise tag. So, when it's all said and done, whether he likes it or not, Dallas really kind of controls him for the next 4 years of his, NFL career. So, I mean, but, you put people around you that you believe you can trust, and give you the right, right ideas and guide you the right way. And if that's what they're telling them, that's what they're telling them. And I mean, when it's all said and done, I'm not going to hate on any NFL player for trying to get their money when they know they can get it. So, I won't hate on them for it. I'm not going to be somebody sitting here that's, going to bash Zeke and, team first. No. These NFL teams, bring these guys in and toss them out just as quickly. So I'm not going to hate.
That's very true.
Trying to get their money, but kind of going with what you mentioned, with what Eric said, I do think that you also got to kind of stand in line when it comes down to contracts, and Amari and Dak are much more pressing, contracts that need to get done for Dallas, preferably before the year starts. But when it's all said and done, Dallas is going to be able to afford to pay all 3 of them and make all 3 of them top 5 play, in their position. And, it's going to, I don't have any worries about it not working itself out. But, I really do hope not to see a, Ezekiel Elliott or Le'Veon Bell repeat, just because I do think Dallas, with the amount of young players they have, they're kind of in their window because they aren't going to be able to pay everybody.
Yeah. And you mentioned Eric Tressler. And speaking of Eric Tressler, he is here tonight, folks. Eric Tressler, how you doing?
This is the biggest non-story of the season. It's of the off-season, I should say, of the preseason, whatever hell you want to call it. Biggest non-story. They're all going to get paid. They're going to even probably go into the season because Jerry Jones is a different kind of owner than they have there in Pittsburgh. They have a little more stoic owner, a little more, team first. They want to pay the guy. They want to pay Bill. They want to franchise and blah, blah, blah. I get that. Jerry Jones in Dallas does things a little differently, so I expect everybody's going to get paid. Like you said, everybody will get top 5 money. Everybody's going to be fine and happy. I've heard they've already extended offers in that top 5 range. Dak probably deserves something in there. Amari probably deserves around the 6 to 10 range rather than the top 5 range, in my opinion. And for Zeke, I think he deserves as much as any of the other big running backs have been getting lately. So I don't think he deserves a contract that should top Gurley's or top whoever else's. But I just think that they're, he'll get paid. Jerry Jones he'll let this go on a little longer because I don't think it's really, doing anything other than bringing attention to his team right now. Not necessarily detrimental. It's, Zeke's staying in shape. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. So I think before the week 4 of the preseason, I'd imagine this gets worked out in some way.
Well, the one thing I want to bring up and mention to this is because I had read an interview with Stephen Jones, who, he's more the one who runs things now. Jerry obviously has his hands in everything, but Stephen's kind of become the face of things. And in an interview in February, he said he felt Zeke was going to get Todd Gurley money. And then apparently within the last week, he's kind of backtracked on that and said the Le'Veon Bell contract set the mark, and I think that may be where the difference comes in, where Zeke's trying to get what Gurley got, and they want to give him closer to what Bell got. And I don't really think you can make a comparison between what Bell got and what Zeke should get, because I think part of the reason why Bell got less than Gurley was because he sat out a year, and Bell has had injuries every year of his career. I don't think he's played a 16-game season once, and the only year Zeke missed significant time was because of non-football related issues, obviously the suspension season. So I just wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on that one, and if you think that that's a factor in this at all. And Eric, I'll go back to you on that.
Again, I don't think it's necessarily a factor. I think it's just a big non-story. I'll be honest. I think everybody's going to get paid. So for Zeke and the Cowboys, I think this is, more of a talking point, more just to draw headlines to Dallas than it is anything else.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, when it's really all said and done, they're going to get their money. Zeke is going to get a contract he's happy with. And, I mean, hell, even if he misses a game or two of the regular season, I still don't think this goes too much longer than that. I really don't think Dallas lets the Le'Veon Bell type of situation come up. And like I said, I mean, when it comes down to Dallas's perspective, if that's how he wants to play it, then they literally control his career for the next 3 to 4 years, whether he likes it or not. So, and nobody's going to be, offering him $15, $16 million a year if he doesn't play football for the next 3 years. So it's kind of a situation where, you just hope he finds a happy medium and they get it done. And I think they're all going to get paid. And I do agree with, Eric, when it comes down to it. Like, to me, Amari does really fall more in that 6 to 10 range than the top 5. But I would be more than cool with, 6 or 7. And Dak, to me, should come in towards the lower end of that top 5. I don't know if that's what's going to happen. But that's all, like I said before. All said and done, these NFL teams can afford to pay these NFL players. But there's so many loopholes in the system. They're in there, restructure this, restructure that, move money that, they have plenty of ways to pay these guys the money that they want, still be able to put together the team they want to put together, and, go out there and compete. So, sooner or later, like I said, I root for the players in these situations. Get your money while you can, because your career on average lasts 3.5 years. So get your money.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that one. All right. So for the next topic, Dave, like I said, you did miss last week. Do you have anything else that stuck out to you over the last couple of weeks that you'd like to bring up?
I mean, look, it's always fun to see football back on TV. So, yeah, the Hall of Fame game. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I watched maybe 20 minutes of it all told. There's only so much of that game you can actually watch. But, it's still nice to see football back on TV. The Hall of Fame inductions. I think the speech Kevin Mawai gave, especially when he was talking about his dad, was amazing. Ed Reed may have the greatest bust in history of NFL Hall of Fame busts. I mean, I don't think you could have gotten any closer than they did with what they made him. Other than that, man, it's really been kind of low-key on the sports world, at least from the sports world perspective in my eyes.
All right, well, let me ask this, because I'll be honest with you guys, both of you. I didn't watch not 1 second of Hall of Fame weekend. I didn't watch any of the induction ceremony. I didn't give one iota about the game going on. I didn't care about the speeches, but what I did hear come out of it, and I don't know if when you guys were watching or saw highlights if this is true, but I've heard that the videos were edited to remove a lot of the big hits, because if you're not mistaken, Ed Reed, known for being a big hitter, they didn't show really any of that. I think they showed one, and it was a great form tackle that he made. They didn't show any of the big hits. Am I mistaken when I say that the NFL tried to edit some of those videos, take out the violent hits? Their real highlight video wasn't shown?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of with you. I didn't watch any of it either. So, Dave, did you happen to catch that?
Oh no! See, all I saw was a picture of Ed Reed next to his bus, and the clip of Kevin Mawai talking about his dad. So no, I watched absolutely none of it. I mean, me personally, it's more depressing, this Hall of Fame, because it's a lot of the guys that really were playing when we were growing up, and to me, that's kind of one of those clear-cut signs, like, oh crap, we're really definitely getting old now. So, yeah, no, I really didn't watch any of it. I mean, I saw the highlight of the game-winning touchdown catch in the Hall of Fame game. That was an impressive catch by some guy I never heard of before. But, yeah, no, I can't say that they really caught any of my actual dedicated attention or time.
I'll tell you this, though. It really wouldn't surprise me if the NFL's doing something like that. Like, it's a shame they would do that for a guy like Ed Reed, because that was such a big part of his career. But I kind of get that maybe you don't want to put that front and center when you're trying to pretend that you're concerned about player safety.
Yeah, it sounds believable to me.
I think they should just move Hall of Fame weekend. Hear me out on this. Hall of Fame weekend moved to Pro Bowl weekend. Just do it all at once. Have the Pro Bowl game as your Hall of Fame game. As almost like a, hey, these could be a future Hall of Famers type game. And then do your induction ceremony, and now you have all the viewers for both events. Creates more buzz, creates more things going on. You could turn it into an event that week before Super Bowl, leading into the week of Super Bowl. I don't know, it makes sense in my head.
I like that idea. No, I like that idea. I think that's pretty good, because if you think about it, you put it in the first preseason game. Some people watch it, but I think you would probably reinvigorate a lot of interest, not just for the Pro Bowl, but for the Hall of Fame as well. I think you probably would get more viewers that way, and it would tie into the Super Bowl being the week before it. Dave?
I mean, look, I could see some two things that I think would make that a great idea, and two things why I don't think it would happen. First and foremost, for why I don't think it would happen, it's one less game that the NFL gets to air during the preseason and make money off of. It's also less money that goes, because basically all the money that they make off of the Hall of Fame game gets invested into Canton, Ohio, and the Hall of Fame and everything they do there. So those are the two reasons why I don't think that would happen. Two reasons I think that would be a great thing to have it happen is, like you said, it puts more energy and, into Pro Bowl weekend and Hall of Fame weekend, which, let's be honest, are probably the two least cared about weekends in all of the NFL. But I think what would also be cool, though, is, in my opinion, you take all those Pro Bowlers and have them play that game in front of the Hall of Fame class. I'd be willing to bet money those guys will play that game a hell of a lot harder than they do right now. So I think those are your positives to it, and why I think it'd be awesome. But like I said, I think we've all agreed on this more times than I can count. NFL cares more about money than anything else. So for them to put that in the one weekend is going to cost them money, and I just don't see that being. And not to mention the Pro Bowl is supposed to be a reward for the players, so they get to go to some nice city or island in Hawaii. I mean, telling guys that you got to go play football in late January, early February in Ohio is definitely not a reward.
Yeah, but on the flip side,
how many of those guys show up to those games anyway? I mean, you're getting into 3, 4, 5 deep reserves most of the time anyway. So what's the difference if you're playing in Canton, Ohio, or you're shipping the 4th best receiver from Detroit out to Hawaii? What's the difference where he's playing? You know what I mean? I think it would be cooler being in front of the audience. I agree with Dave's point, though, that I think that the NFL is driven by money, and right now all they see is like, oh, we don't want to take away from the Hall of Fame weekend. We lose all that money, put it into this. But I think if they made it into like a 2-week event and like really rolled it out right after the championship game, like that Monday, start festivities, start things going on. You have the game that following weekend, or you do the Hall of Fame class thing Saturday, you do the game Sunday, whatever. However you want to work that out, or Friday night into Saturday, you do the game Saturday, and then you roll it right into the Super Bowl coverage, media day, everything else. I think it could be a huge 2-week event because right now, those 2 weeks between the Super Bowl is kind of dead time. And even though they do events for the Super Bowl and they do set up in that city the week before the Super Bowl, I just think you can get more done. And you can still have the game in Canton, Ohio. You can still have the game wherever and have the proceeds. Or hell, if you want to have it in Hawaii, that's fine too. You can still have the proceeds going to Canton, Ohio, and the NFL and the Hall of Fame. So,
and if
I see ways it could work, but I also see what Dave's saying that right now they just don't want to take the gamble on it because what they think they have going is working because they just keep making money with it.
And if I can also add here, I get what you're saying, Dave, about taking away the fun of going to an exotic city like Hawaii or something like that. But I also think, and I don't know if I'm saying this the right way, the cultural significance, the historical significance of getting these young guys making the Pro Bowl possibly for the first time, to be able to go to Canton and play in front of Hall of Famers. I don't know. Some might look at that as an inspirational thing right there.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, if you're going to be in Ohio in late January, early February, you are dealing with below freezing temperatures and a lot of snow. That's all I mean by that. That's all I'm trying to say. So, I mean, again, I think it'd be great because I do think every guy that would be playing in the Pro Bowl game in front of those Hall of Famers may actually play real football instead of the crap that we get every Pro Bowl weekend now. Like, that would be kind of the hope I would have out of that they would be inspired by the Hall of Famers there. Because those Hall of Famers, when they played Pro Bowl games, they were fucking games. Excuse my language. But they were games. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I still remember some of those Pro Bowls in the mid and late 90s that, like, they were hitting each other. I mean, they weren't playing lightly. They weren't being nice. Like, they took it seriously. It was $50,000 or $25,000. What do you prefer? And they went out there and they played hard and they actually hit each other and played the damn game. And that, to me, is the biggest flaw with Pro Bowl weekend is I have more fun watching the skills challenge stuff that they do now than I do watching the game.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. All right, so moving on. Well, Dave, I know you got to leave in a few minutes, and I know you had said you can. Oh, go ahead.
Let me just throw something random out at you guys because you brought up the All-Star Games and the Skills Challenge, Dave. Now you see the NBA does their Skills Challenge, NHL does their Skills Challenge, NFL does their Skills Challenge, baseball has the Home Run Derby. Out of the four, if you're picking one to watch, which of the four are you watching?
Oh.
Rank them. Rank the four. I want your official rankings of the four.
Oh.
Well, I'll say this. I kind of wish they made a bigger deal of some of the football Skills Challenge stuff because I almost feel like I know they televise it and everything, but I don't quite feel it gets the fanfare that the other sports does. Like the NBA one, like it might be on Saturdays or Fridays, but it's still in prime time. The NFL, I almost feel like if you're watching it, you're almost watching it by accident. And I just feel like they should draw a little more attention to it. So that's my thing. Like, what was it, a couple years ago when they put the dodgeball game or something? I don't know if that quite counts towards the Skills Challenge, but I wouldn't mind seeing something like that in prime time just because I think that would be fun to watch.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, Mike. I'm not laughing at you. I'm watching the Yankee-Oriole game, and the guy in the for the Orioles dove for the ball in left field. The ball went right off his head.
Oh, shit.
He dove. He misjudged it. It went past his glove, and you can see it in slow-mo right off the side of his head.
You know, I'll tell you this. One thing I gotta ask you guys. You guys ever heard of Bob Menery?
No.
Okay. There is this. Okay, it's a YouTube channel / Instagram thing where the guy is an announcer, and he does the most insane commentary of different sporting events. And he said you got to look this guy up, Bob Menery. I just found this out a couple days ago. I can't really describe it, but if you look it up and you watch one of his clips, you will laugh your ass off. That's all I got to say. I definitely recommend it. Bob Menery, I'm telling you, look it up. It's hysterical. Because I would love you saying that, Eric, I would love to see his commentary on that particular instance, because that sounds funny. It sounds funny. Dave, I was vamping a little bit for you there. Would you like to answer that one first?
Yeah, because I do actually gotta go. So I would say just because the NBA does that full weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm gonna put the NBA first. I'm actually gonna put, and this might shock you guys, I'm actually gonna put the home run derby second. The home run derby, and I love how they kind of bracketed out, and I do kind of think that, the way they did this past year, and I think that can be kind of smoothed out a little bit. I don't think what's his name should have hit that many home runs and actually lost. But anyway, I'd put the home run derby second, NHL third, football last, because the game itself sucks. And like Mike, you kind of pointed out before, the skills challenge that they do, they don't even put it in a situation where you can try to enjoy it. Instead it's a Saturday afternoon when you're probably running around trying to do stuff or get things done. And, then you end up watching like the re-airing of it. But by that point, all the best parts of it, you've seen on social media and you don't even need to watch it. So yeah, NFL would definitely be last for me when it comes down to ranking the All-Star weekends. And like I said, I know it might shock you guys, but the home run derby to me, I may not be a baseball fan, but I can only imagine how exhausting it must be to be under those lights and just swinging that bat basically as hard as you can and doing it over a stretch of an hour and a half. Like that's got to be freaking exhausting. So yeah, I would put that second, and NHL is mainly third just because their All-Star weekend tends to fall right around the same time as the NBA, so I usually tend to miss out on it.
I may lean a little bit more towards your rankings, tell you the truth, because, the basketball one I always think is entertaining. Like, I don't even like the 3-point competition. I can't remember the last time I actually watched the skills competition, but I would watch that. The home run derby, I like the home run derby. I don't know. I may not be as high on it as other people. I mean, Eric, I kind of made my feelings known because you've seen the guys who they adjust their swing for the home run derby and then they can't get it back for the rest of the second half. So they don't hit any home runs for like 2-3 weeks. And yes, I'm thinking about David Wright from about 10 years ago. And that one, football would probably be higher up if they did a little bit more to like advertise it and make it more of an event. And the hockey one, I've never actually seen the hockey one, but I'm sure it's entertaining.
All right, I want to do mine real quick. I got to be honest. I love, as far as an event goes for a weekend, Home Run Derby to me tops all the events. It's my favorite one event to watch at all the All-Star events that go on across the sports. So we'll put baseball up there. Plus, I love the Yankees, love baseball. But I will say hockey and basketball. Basketball would be like a 2A, and hockey would be like a 2B for me because their skill competitions aren't necessarily the same. They are similar. They are very skill-driven, and they're both awesome to watch. The dunk contest is usually pretty good. 3-point contest, we've got some of the best shooters we've ever seen. Or ever has been in the NBA right now in the league. So, I mean, that's always a lot of fun to watch. The NHL, I mean, they have a lot of puck things, shots, things like that. So, I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of fun if you get a chance to watch it. And I think we're all in agreement that the NFL is just lagging behind in their All-Star weekend. And that was kind of my point behind moving the Hall of Fame game to begin with. Is you're dead last in it anyway. Nobody really gives a damn. Why not try to bring a little more meaning to it? I think they got to find a way to fix it, catch up with the rest of these guys. But, that's definitely my least favorite to watch.
Fair enough. All right, Dave. So I know you got to get out of here, man. Any last words?
Glad to be back, gentlemen. Glad to always do this with you guys, and have yourselves a good night.
You too, man.
Stay sweaty, my friend.
Stay sweaty.
Stay sweaty.
All right. Dave Hastings back on the Sports Zone. Thank you for being here. All right, Eric, let's talk a little baseball here. So before we get into what I want to bring up, let's talk a little bit about the trading deadline, because both the Mets and the Yankees, we talked about it last week, neither of them wound up doing anything at the trade deadline last Wednesday.
That's not true. You guys made a move before the deadline to get.
Yeah, but But wait a minute, we talked about that though.
We talked about it, but nobody made a move at the deadline. You're correct, but it doesn't mean a move wasn't made prior to the deadline.
Which is fair. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to argue with you on that one, but I meant at the actual trading deadline itself on Wednesday. So there's that. But I want to talk to you about the Yankees' inactivity here, because I have a question that I haven't really heard anybody bring up. So Yankees don't make a move at the trading deadline. Obviously, they need pitching. They didn't get Madison Bumgarner. I'm not saying they should have gone after Zach Greinke, because the thing on Greinke has always been you don't know if he's going to be able to pitch in New York because he has his own problems, mental health issues, that sort of thing. But I got to ask, do you start to wonder that maybe if Cashman's getting a little gun-shy in terms of trading his prospects away, do you think really?
Nope.
Okay.
You say that because what? Because listen, if you hear what was potentially out there and offered for some guys, like I think they made an offer for Syndergaard and Andujar and Frazier, from what I heard.
I heard.
For Wheeler.
No. You're right.
It's
right.
not like they weren't trying, but but we're not going to give up certain prospects. We're not going to sell the farm just to try and win this year when we're already winning this year. So that's the thing, is like as long as we're still winning ball games, there's no reason to sell the farm. So it's like we felt like people were or Cashman felt like people, I think, were overreaching for him. It's like, oh, it's the Yankees. We're going to put a Yankee tax or a Yankee premium on it. We want Delvey Garcia, and we want Florial, and we want this guy, and it just got to be too much.
Let me.
So I mean, I think that there are some guys that the Yankees value, and they weren't going to give it up for a rental, for a 1-year rental. They might have given it up for a guy with more control, but Baumgartner was coming out of rental. Stroman was coming out of rental. These guys are coming out of rental, and it's not worth it to give up our top prospects. You guys, like we talked last week, you gave up and got the better end of the deal. You gave up less than what Toronto was asking us for. Toronto wanted our best prospect, our number one guy in the farm system they wanted. We said no. They traded it to the Mets for their 7th and 9th best guys. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't feel like the comparison between I feel like there was some kind of tax. And I get it. The Yankees are really good right now, and a lot of teams don't want to see them get that much better. So I can't blame teams out there either.
I think also when it comes to the Blue Jays, it's twofold. You guys kind of inadvertently ripped them off last year for J.A. Happ with the fact that the two guys you guys gave up didn't really amount to anything, and it's the fact that they're in the same division, so there's that. But I want to pose something to you here, because you said the teams were asking for too much. I know over the last few weeks, the sentiment with you was kind of like when it came to Bumgarner, give up what you got to give up for Bumgarner. He's the only guy I would go all out to give. Now, to talk about your top two prospects here, the number one guy, and you mentioned him, is the pitcher Davey Garcia. Now, here's my thing about him. 20 years old, just promoted to Scranton a couple months ago. Eric, I follow prospects. I never heard of this guy until about 3 months ago. I don't know about you, but my thing with Garcia,
20 years old though. He's young.
All right, fine. Florial's around the same age. We've heard that name for about 2-3 years now. I'm just saying. I
don't know. There's a reason that teams wanted him, though. The reason teams are asking for him.
Yeah, but don't you think there's also the perspective? Trade him now, see what you can get while he's hot. Like, I get that pitching is the area of need for you guys, so you don't want to give up someone who could be a potential star right away. But in my eyes, you get a guy, and Stroman wouldn't have been a 1-year rental, by the way. He's signed for next year. That's not quite the same thing as a rental, but I'm not saying you give it up for him. I think you guys were right not to give that package up for Stroman, if we're being honest. But talking about Bumgarner,
Bumgarner wasn't on the table because the Giants were making a run, and Bumgarner wasn't on the table. So that's why we couldn't get Bumgarner. So I'm happy with the Yankees getting nobody.
Yeah, but
I would rather them get nobody because right now they're still finding ways to win ball games.
Yeah, but the flip side to that is the Diamondbacks have basically the same record as the Giants. They're in a playoff race too, and they traded Greinke away for 4 prospects, and none of whom were probably going to make the big club this year. So while I get what you're saying, and that's probably true, you guys still, if one team is able to do it, there's still the possibility that maybe they would have done it if the price is right. And my thing with Florial, okay, he's young. I get you don't want to trade him, especially when his value might be a little low.
I want to trade him. I'm out the door.
But where are you putting him within the next 3 years? It's like the same problem you guys have with Frazier.
Trade him. I don't want him in the field. We don't need him.
But wait a minute, that kind of contradicts it. You're saying trade him. This would have been the time to trade him, though.
Trading Florial. I was fine with trading some of our guys. It was other guys that weren't. I thought the package that they wanted for Stroman was too much. I think the package the Mets gave up was more than fair. I think the teams asked for too much. I don't think it was that the Yankees were afraid to give up anything. I think it's that teams were asking for too much in negotiations with the Yankees. Brian Cashman was like, you know what, it's not worth it. We're going to stand pat. Which, they're going to get Severino back. They keep saying at some point he'll end up being bullpen help and relief. If you can get 2-3 innings out of him with strong starts, or strong bullpen relief, I mean, that's a big arm coming out of the bullpen to help come playoff time. I think that there's, things that can, be a good pod. They should be getting Betances back at some point, too. So it's not like the pitching staff isn't going to get the help, and I don't think it was worth it to get rid of those pieces or trade those pieces now when you could use them later and maybe get a better return back later for them. Either way, people are still going to want those prospects come the fall or the winter, and who knows? Maybe at that point it'll be worth it to Cashman if the Yankees get close again, but lose again because of starting pitching. Then maybe at that point it becomes more of a desperation move. But at this point, it's not worth it to do it. The asking price is too high. Not enough guys moved either.
So just so I'm clear, the problem with you wouldn't have been giving up Florial for a picture. The problem would have been giving up both of them for anyone but Bumgarner, yes?
Yeah, Bumgarner to me was the only one worthy of giving up top prospects for him. By top prospects, I mean like Florial, Garcia. And I'm glad that nobody is mentioning yet the Martian because he's going to be – you're going to hear him in the big leagues. He's going to be up in the next 4 years.
And his name is Jason Dominguez, just so we know his name. He is still only 16 years old, Jason Dominguez. I'm going to be honest, though, and we're going to close this out because I want to bring up the Mets because we only got about 8 minutes left. I do think Cashman's getting a little gun-shy with the prospects. I think he's running into a situation that the Mets were in a couple years ago where you're a little worried about giving up the wrong guy for a pitcher or something that doesn't pan out for you, and then you have to watch the prospect you gave up prosper with another team. I do think that's starting to become a factor.
Pitchers are like running backs. Pitchers are like running backs are in the NFL. They're great for a couple of years, but most of them don't last much longer than that nowadays. You can find pitchers. You can find guys having great years. You can, it's a lot more common nowadays. I don't think that the starting pitching is valued as high unless you have that true absolute ace, which Bumgarner come playoff time is. I don't think Greinke is at this point in his career, so we'll see, what the Astros gave up. But he wasn't coming to the Yankees anyway. Everybody knew that. So
Right.
That was never an option for the Yankees. So good for the Astros. They loaded up on another pitcher, and they are going to be scary come playoff time. They're the team to beat probably come playoff time, regardless of how the rest of the regular season ends. So I'm kind of hoping the Yankees get home field advantage because I know at least if they get home field advantage, more games are played in New York than they are down there in Houston. So we'll see what happens the rest of the time. Now, I know you want to talk about your Mets, your winning streak. I mean, the Yankees are on a little winning streak themselves.
Yeah, you guys did good this weekend.
Hopefully after tonight, if they hold on to tonight's win, they'll end up being 15.5 up on Boston right now. They'll end up being, I think it depends on how the Tampa was tied 6-6 before. They could end up 10 up on Tampa after tonight as well, depending on how that game plays out. So Yankees rolling. I just want to say that. Let's go Yanks now. We can talk about your Mets. They are playing well, but I still don't give them a chance.
Oh, dude, they have a chance. You don't have to think it's a great chance.
So
but
you're
now,
saying there's a chance. So, yeah, I mean, come on.
it's a little bit more. Listen, at this point, it's a little bit more than 1 in a million. Okay? They got to 500. That's something they had to do. Now, there's a lot of teams ahead of them. I will give them that. But they're 2.5 games out of the wild card right now, out of at least the second wild card spot. And you got the Nationals coming up this weekend. The two teams that are leading that second wild card pack right now are the Nationals and the Phillies. And I got to be honest, I was a little jealous of what the Nationals and the Braves were able to do in terms of adding relievers at the deadline because you know my thoughts. I thought the Mets should have added a reliever on that Wednesday. They didn't do that. The Nationals and the Braves did. But honestly, of all the teams in the division right now, and I'm not even saying the Mets are making a shot at the division. They're 8.5 games out of the division. I'm not saying division. I'm fine with wild card right now. But if you're looking at the division, because the most games the Mets play against other teams are against teams in their division for the next couple months, the Braves are literally the only team that scares me. The Nationals, we can beat the Nationals. The Phillies, we can beat the Phillies. If Jason Vargas doesn't all of a sudden throw like 2 no-hitters against us and Asdrubal Cabrera doesn't wind up hitting 5 home runs over the course of this coming weekend. If that don't happen, I think we got a shot. This next, after the Marlins series, it's 3 games against the Nationals, 3 games against the Braves. That's the litmus test. If the Mets come out of those 6 games 3-3 or 4-2, this is going to be a very exciting last month of the half of the season, which is more than you could say a month ago watching Mets baseball.
But again, it's like being a Knicks fan. It's false hope. It's hope for the next year. It's hope that there's a greater horizon.
Wait a minute. When is the last time the Knicks have been this close to a playoff spot? Like, legitimately.
That the Knicks have been this close to a playoff spot? Wasn't it 2013?
Okay, so
2014. So I mean, 2014. What was it with Mike Woodson when they won 52 games that year?
That was either 2012 or 2013. But the point is, that was longer. That was longer ago than the last time the Mets were in a World Series. That's almost 6 or 7 years ago, bro. To say it, it's been a long time. The Mets have been a better team over the last.
World Series 5 years ago.
4 years. 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. 4 years.
It's really
2015.
not that much of a difference. It's not that much of a difference than being a Knicks fan. It's hope
the
Mets. We're getting the right pieces.
The Mets have been a better team.
We're finally.
The Mets have been a better team over the last 6 years than the Knicks have. You can't. That's undisputable.
Like I'll say that.
So they've been a better team. So they've been a better team. They've had more. They have had more to root for.
They both haven't been champions, though. They both aren't winning. They're both in the playoff teams. Yeah, the Mets did make one World Series appearance. They didn't win it.
They still got there Wednesday again. They won. They went to 2 playoffs. They had 2 playoff years. 2 more playoff years than the Knicks have had over the same time. You cannot tell me that they've been the same over the last 5 years.
And the Knicks were in the playoffs the year before that. I mean, come on.
And they got bounced in the first round.
They've made the playoffs one more time than the Knicks have in the last 10 years. If you took the last 10 years,
going to a World Series
twice.
Going to a World Series means more than going to just the playoffs and getting bounced in the first round, especially when there's 8 teams that make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference as opposed to 4 or 5 teams that make the playoffs in baseball. Don't compare the two.
In the first round series in that year and losing the second round, I could be wrong. I
want to say they lost in the first round, but now that I think about it, you could be right. I'm not sure.
So I don't want to speak out of
honestly, I'm not 100% either. I was more sure about that when I was yelling than I am right now. So, all right, listen, we got less than a minute left. No real time for last thoughts. Real quick last words, Eric Tressler. Real quick.
I mean, I hope you guys are putting that dumpster fire out into the field.
Oh, it's out.
Burning bright. The one's still burning, but I wouldn't call it out yet. It's smoldering still. It can still burst back into flames before the end of the year.
It depends.
stays out.
All right.
You need
Well,
to douse that thing a little more.
We'll see what Edwin Diaz does. But anyway, Eric, thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I am Mike Aglioloro. We will see y'all next week. Stay sweaty, my friend. Yes.